There comes a moment in every believer's journey when God asks something that shakes the very structure of your soul. He doesn't ask you to wait. He doesn't ask you to understand. He asks you to move, to take a step into territory that doesn't yet exist, to lift your foot toward a future that isn't visible, to walk toward a promise with no evidence to stand on except His voice. This is the terrifying beauty of faith, the moment when God requires motion before manifestation. We prefer clarity before commitment. We want to see the bridge before we walk. We want confirmation before courage. We want proof before obedience. But God doesn't build faith on the visible. He builds it in the unseen. He builds it in the space between your lifted foot and the ground He hasn't revealed yet. You stand there, trembling at the edge of a calling you barely recognize, whispering, "God, what if I fall? What if there's nothing there? What if I take a step and the ground isn't real?" But heaven whispers back, "Move, and watch me build the ground beneath you." Because faith is not believing that the ground exists. Faith is believing that God will create it when you step. Yet the emotional battle in that moment is fierce. Your mind screams caution. Your fears pull you backward. Your memories try to keep you safe. Every past disappointment tries to chain your foot to the ground you've outgrown. But your spirit knows. Your spirit feels the pull. Your spirit recognizes the voice that is calling you forward. And you sense that if you do not move now, something inside you will wither. Not because God is punishing you, but because your soul was designed to grow through motion, through risk, through trust. This is the sacred tension of the faith walk, the place where nothing looks stable, yet everything feels appointed. You are not stepping into certainty. You are stepping into obedience. You are not stepping onto a map. You are stepping onto a promise. And heaven responds to movement, because some paths only appear after you walk. Some miracles only activate when you advance. Some breakthroughs only unlock when your foot hits ground. When Israel stood before the Jordan River at flood stage, God didn't split the waters first. No, He told the priests to step in, to put their feet into a river that looked dangerous, impossible, impassable. The miracle did not come before the step. The miracle came because of the step. And the same mystery is unfolding in your life. God does not want you to move blindly. He wants you to move boldly. Not because the ground is visible, but because He is trustworthy. Not because you have evidence, but because you have His whisper. Not because you feel ready, but because He has decided it is time. You keep waiting for God to show you the whole path, but God keeps waiting for you to lift your foot. Because breakthrough always begins with a step. Because destiny always begins with discomfort. Because calling always begins with courage. Yet this step is not reckless, it is aligned. You feel the divine nudge. You feel the spiritual pull. That inner trembling is not fear, it is awakening. It is your spirit recognizing that God is shifting you into a future you cannot stay here to receive. And though your heart shakes, something deeper in you knows. Staying would be safer, but moving will be sacred. So breathe. Feel the weight of this holy moment. Let your trembling be part of the obedience. And when you're ready, lift your foot. Because God is about to place the ground beneath you. There is a sacred shift that happens the moment you decide to lift your foot. Before the ground appears, before the miracle forms, before the evidence arrives. Something inside you awakens. Something ancient. Something divine. It is the part of you that was created to walk with God, not by sight, but by trust. And trust changes everything. Trust steadies the trembling. Trust calms the questions. Trust quiets the fear. Trust anchors your heart in a truth deeper than logic. Because faith doesn't silence fear. Faith moves with fear and refuses to let it lead. As your foot rises off the familiar ground, heaven begins building what you cannot yet see. Not because you moved perfectly, but because you moved willingly. God never demanded perfection. He asked for participation. And the moment you say yes, the supernatural begins to assemble pathways you didn't know existed. This is why the enemy attacks you most fiercely at the edge of a step. Not because you're weak, but because you're dangerous. Because the moment you move, the moment you obey, the moment you take a step that makes no earthly sense, something in the unseen realm shifts. Hell fears obedient feet. Heaven celebrates them. So the resistance you feel is not a sign to turn back. It's a sign that your step matters. Every destiny-altering story begins with someone who moved before they saw. Abraham left before he knew the destination. Peter stepped out before he knew the water would hold him. The widow poured her oil before she knew it would multiply. The disciples distributed bread before it became enough. Faith always requires motion, and God always responds to motion. But here is the mystery we often overlook. The ground God builds is not just for the step you're taking. It's for the version of you that is emerging. When you step, you are not just moving locations, you are moving identities. Stepping forward births. A braver you, a clearer you, a more surrendered you, a more mature you, a more aligned you. This is why the step feels so heavy, because it is carrying your becoming. When your lifted foot finally descends, you expect to fall. You expect emptiness. You expect nothing to hold you. But instead, something catches you. Something firm. Something prepared. Something placed there by a God who builds foundations in real time. And you realize, the ground wasn't there until I moved. God truly built it beneath me. This moment changes you forever. Because now you understand, God doesn't reveal the path, He reveals Himself. God doesn't offer certainty, He offers presence. God doesn't promise clarity, He promises guidance. And when God walks with you, the ground appears, even in places that shouldn't hold you. So the next time He nudges you, you won't wait for proof. You won't wait for the whole story. You won't wait for perfect timing. Because now you know that faith is not about seeing, it's about stepping. Your confidence won't come from maps or signs or open doors. Your confidence will come from remembering the God who built the ground last time. And there will be more steps, more unknowns, more invitations into territories you cannot yet see, more moments where God whispers, "Lift your foot again," but this time you'll move differently. You'll move with steadiness. You'll move with expectation. You'll move with the quiet certainty that the ground will appear, because you've lived the miracle. You've seen the invisible become solid. You've watched God respond to obedience in ways logic can't explain. So let this prayer rise from your spirit. God, give me the courage to move when you speak. Strengthen my faith to lift my foot even when nothing looks ready. Remind me that you build the ground beneath every obedient step. And lead me into the places designed for my becoming. Amen. If this message meets you at the edge of a step, take heart. God is not asking you to leap alone. He is asking you to trust Him enough to move. And when you do, you will witness the divine mystery. Your foot moves. God responds. Ground appears.